Hey, this is C&D channel. I'm Chris. This is MMA for you. I'm going to be doing my predictions for World Series of Fighting 8, Gaethje versus Patishnock, which happens on January 18th. Overall, I do like this card. Anthony Johnson's fighting Mike Kyle. That should be a fun one. You got a good women's fight with Alida Gray versus Aguilar. Even the prelims have guys like Derrick Mehmen, Tyler Stinson, Alexis Vila, Freddy Assuncao. So it's actually a pretty solid card overall. I have to say that World Series of Fighting cards for me have always been the hardest to predict correctly. I don't know why. I think it's just a combination of the prelims are really hard to predict almost all the time, because you got like lower level guys, maybe a couple prospects, but otherwise, it's hard to predict who's gonna win fights between like lower level guys, for example. Otherwise, nonetheless, I still like this card. I believe Gaethje was supposed to fight like Rick Glenn, who's a really good prospect in his own right. I thought that would have been a cool fight because you got a Rufus Sport guy, Rick Glenn, Justin Gaethje, good wrestler and whatnot, trains out of Grudge. But Patishnock, good replacement. He's kind of a Gracie killer at this time, so it should be interesting. Okay. To start it off, in the main event, we have Justin Gaethje versus Richard Patishnock for the inaugural lightweight title. Patishnock has a 6-1 record with 1 win by TKO, 1 win by sub. The TKO was when, what Gracie was it? Was like Gregor or something? Got his back, and then Patishnock kind of slammed him forward, and he broke his collarbone. Gracie broke his collarbone. He's 26 years old on a 2-fight win streak. Has a good stand-up, good submission defense as well. Justin Gaethje, 10-0 undefeated record, 8 wins by KO or TKO, 1 win by sub. 25 years old, training out of Grudge. He's a good wrestler, super aggressive guy, pushes forward all the time. Stand-up's improving. The thing with Justin Gaethje is like his stand-up on a technical level needs a lot of work. I think his aggression at this time kind of makes up for his lack of technique. Nonetheless, I think Gaethje's forward pressure, his overall aggressiveness, I can see him overwhelming Richard Patishnock, so I got to go with Justin Gaethje to win this one. Okay, next fight after that, Anthony Rumble Johnson fights Mike Mac Kyle. Kyle has a 20-10 record with 1 draw and 2 no contests. 13 wins by KO or TKO, 3 wins by sub. He also has 4 losses by KO or TKO and 4 losses by sub. He's 33 years old, training out of AKA. Does have good boxing, utilizes a good jab, heavy-handed guy. I mean, this guy in the first couple seconds against Bigfoot Silva floored him with an overhand right, and his grappling is actually improving. Anthony Johnson, besides his weight stuff, I mean, the guy fights as high as heavyweight and still retains his power, and he looks really good at light heavyweight at this time. I don't know what weight this fight's going to be at, if it's going to be light heavyweight or heavyweight. But Johnson, 15-4 record, 10 wins by KO or TKO, 5 wins by decision. He also has 3 losses by submission. 29 years old on a 5-fight win streak, training out of the Black Zillions. Heavy-handed guy, good kicks. He has really good kickboxing. He uses the head kick a lot too, actually. His wrestling's good, and his top control is solid as well. You know what? I think Johnson just might have a couple more tools to win this one. I think on the feet, Kyle is always dangerous. He has some, like I said, really heavy-handed guy. If this happens a lot with Johnson too. If he faces some danger on the feet, then what happens is he immediately goes to his wrestling, which isn't a good thing. I think he's definitely the hammer, not the nail. I think that's one of his biggest weaknesses. Like, when a guy starts fighting back, he'll revert to wrestling, you know. But when Johnson can be like more the bully type, he's usually the victor. I see Anthony Johnson winning this one. Okay, next fight after that, for the inaugural women's strawweight title, you have Jessica Jag Aguilar versus Alida Gray. Alida Gray definitely made some headlines. She's got like a knockout of the year candidate. Threw this overhand right in the first couple like seconds of I think it's one of her previous fights, and just knocked out her opponent with an overhand right, and it was really cool. 4-0 undefeated record, 3 wins by KO or TKO, 1 win by sub. She is 36 years old. Stand-up's good. She's got some heavy hands. I think she also has if I'm not mistaken, I haven't seen it, I think she has a judo base as well. That's what I read. Jessica Aguilar, 16-4 record, 2 wins by KO or TKO, 7 wins by sub. She's 31 years old on a 7-fight win streak, training out of AKA. She does have some good stand-up, good takedown defense. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu solid as well. The thing with Aguilar is she's kind of like the consensus #1 strawweight, female strawweight out there right now. I don't know how long she can keep that title. Or like, you know, it's kind of like it's not a real title, obviously, but because I wonder if a Joan Calderwood or a Mizuki Inoue or what's her name? Brazilian girl. I forgot her name. She's supposed to fight Carla Esparza. Maybe even her partner, her training partner Tesha Torres could probably beat her as well. How did I forget that name? Well, nonetheless, Aguilar definitely has more experience. She didn't look that great though in her last fight against Patricia Vodonik. I was very unimpressed with her performance, and I thought she lost that fight. She like won a split decision. Claudia Gadelha. I think Claudia Gadelha could also give Jessica Aguilar some problems. Alida Gray, she does hit hard. Aguilar, I see her a lot of times utilizing a lot of stand-up lately and defend, like kind of a sprawling ball tactic. I don't know if she can use. I don't know if it'll work against Gray, but we'll see. I am gonna go with Jessica Aguilar to win this one. She has a lot more experience than Gray, but honestly, an upset would not surprise me, to be perfectly honest with you. Okay, next fight after that, we have Cody Bollinger versus Tyson Nam. Bollinger is really well known from The Ultimate Fighter as a guy, one of the guys who couldn't make weight in that one season, the last season of The Ultimate Fighter. He's fought in Bellator. I think he lost to like Shamalayev or one of the Russian / Dagestani fighters. I forgot which one it was. Maybe it's Sarev. I'm not too sure. I think it's Shamalayev. Bollinger has a 14-2 record with 1 no contest. 4 wins by KO or TKO, 5 wins by sub. He's only 22 years old. He's fighting Tyson Nam, who has a 12-5 record, 6 wins by KO or TKO, 1 win by sub. He also has 3 losses by KO or TKO. He's 30 years old, training at a sports lab. Other guys that train there would be the Healys, Ryan and Pat Healy, Dave Jansen, and Mike Pierce. Stand-up is pretty solid. He's really well known for knocking out Bellator champion Eduardo Dudu Dantas. This should be a really interesting fight. I'll go with Tyson Nam to win this one. But yeah, I'll go with Tyson Nam to win this one. Okay, next fight is that Luis Palomino fights George Macaco Patino. Patino has a 35-14 record with 2 draws and 1 no contest. 11 wins by KO or TKO, 14 wins by sub. Has 3 losses by KO or TKO, 2 losses by sub. He's 40 years old, trains at a Macaco Gold team. He is a veteran, very experienced, a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Stand-up's like average, it's not particularly that bad, but it's still pretty average. Luis Palomino, pretty experienced guy himself, 21-9 record, 11 wins by KO or TKO, 2 wins by sub. Also has 2 losses by KO or TKO and 3 losses by sub. I remember one of those losses was because he's a Peruvian, and Pat Curran actually caught him with a Peruvian necktie. I thought that was somewhat poetic. 33 years old, training out of MMA Masters, along the likes of Josh Saman and the Lioness of the Ring, Amanda Nunes. His stand-up is solid. He has some really good leg kicks. Not bad takedown defense as well. I think Palomino is going to have the superior stand-up, whereas Patino is going to have the superior ground game. I think Palomino will be able to defend the takedowns of Patino. I'm going to go with Luis Palomino to win this one. Got to the prelims. Scott Barrett fights Derrick Mehmen. Scott Barrett has a 13-3 record, 10 wins by KO or TKO, 1 submission win by strikes. He's 30 years old. Something of a brawler. Derrick Mehmen, really well known for knocking out Hollis Gracie in like a knockout of the year. It's kind of funny. He threw, I think it was an overhand right. Gracie kind of turns over, starts walking, and just does a Ric Flair flop to the ground. It was pretty funny. He has a 16-5 record. He's fought in Strikeforce actually as well. 11 wins by KO or TKO, 2 wins by sub. He also has 2 losses by submission. 28 years old on a 4-fight win streak. Training out of ATT. His stand-up is good. His wrestling's not bad either. I'll go Derrick Mehmen to win this one. Next fight after that, Valdir Araujo fights Tyler Stinson. Well, Araujo has a 14-4 record, 6 wins by KO or TKO, 5 wins by sub. He also has 3 losses by KO or TKO. He's 29 years old on a 3-fight win streak. Trains out of MMA Masters, along the likes of Luis Palomino, Josh Saman, Amanda Nunes, among others, actually. Tyler Stinson, 25-9 record, 17 wins by KO or TKO, 6 wins by sub. Also has 5 losses by submission. He's 27 years old. The guy is 6'3". He's on a 2-fight win streak. Stand-up is good, and he has a good chin too. If you watch his fights against what's his name? Is it Lee? Jordan Mehmen. Like, the guy's getting boxed up, and he still keeps going forward. That's the thing. He fought Tarek Safadine, knocked him down. I think he dropped him or at least wobbled him, because he's really tall. He kind of brawls at times, but solid fighter. His ground game. And he has a lot of submission wins, but he has a lot of submission losses too. I remember when he fought in like Bellator. I think it's Hornbuckle. Like, he got him with like a weird submission and whatnot. I remember Safadine, when the stand-up wasn't working well for him, he just took him down. a lot and did some ground and pound to get the win. But nonetheless, I think Tyler Stinson wins this one. I think he can use his stand up and his height pretty well. He's got a good chin, like I said. He's a tough guy to finish with strikes. So yeah, I'll go Tyler Stinson to win this one. Next fight off that, Sidemar Honorio fights Alexis Vila. Honorio has an 8-4 record, 2 wins by KO or TKO, 2 wins by sub. He's 33 years old on a 2-fight losing streak, training out of the Hansen Gracie Academy. Alexis Vila, 13-4 record, 7 wins by KO or TKO, 3 wins by sub. He's 42 years old, training out of American Top Team. He does have Olympic level wrestling. However, he has been taken down nonetheless, despite having like such a high pedigree of wrestling. You kind of see that with Yoel Romero. Like it's like this guy's this great Olympic level wrestling pedigree, but he still gets taken down in MMA. You know what I mean? But nonetheless, Vila does have some good boxing and some really heavy hands. Still, one of my favorite knockouts of all time really is him knocking out Joe Warren. I thought that was the coolest thing. I'll go with Alexis Vila to win this one. Okay, next fight after that, Freddy Assuncao fights Brenson Hansen. Well, Brenson Hansen has a 5-1 record, 1 win by KO, 4 wins by decision. He's on a 3-fight win streak, training out of Extreme Couture. Freddy Assuncao, who's part of the Assuncao brothers, like Rafael Assuncao. The other one too fought in the UFC for like 2 fights. Jeez, forgot his name. It's kind of like the tall one, I guess. But Freddy has a 7-1 record, 2 wins by KO or TKO, 1 win by sub. 29 years old on a 6-fight win streak. I'll go with Freddy Assuncao to win this one. And finally, I don't know much about these guys. Jose Caceres fights Anderson Melo. Jose Caceres has a 6-4 record with all 6 wins by submission. He's 26 years old. He's a finisher with good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Anderson Melo, 10-7 record, 6 wins by KO or TKO, 4 wins by sub. That's 2 losses by KO or TKO and 3 losses by sub, which makes me kind of worried. 26 years old as well, on a 2-fight win streak, training out of MMA Masters. I'll go with Anderson Melo to win this one. I don't know much about these guys though. So to recap the main card, I have Justin Gaethje over Richard Patishnock, Anthony Johnson beating Mike Kyle, Jessica Jag Aguilar beating Alida Gray, Tyson Nam beating Cody Bollinger, Luis Palomino beating Jorge Macaco Patino. On the prelims, I have Derrick Mehmen over Scott Barrett, Tyler Stinson beating Valdir Araujo, Alexis Vila over Sidemar Honorio, Freddy Assuncao beating Brenson Hansen, and Anderson Melo beating Jose Caceres. So that's it for my predictions for World Series of Fighting 8. If you have any predictions, just leave them below. That's it for MMA for you. Thank you guys very much.